Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the great city of Camden. And we want to thank you all for joining us here today on this very important announcement and initiative which will benefit our children, youth, and families in the city of Camden. First, I want to acknowledge, welcome, and thank Governor Christie for all of your help with my administration, and we are definitely moving Camden forward because of our partnership. Thank you, Governor. Let's give him a round of applause. And I also want to recognize several of our dignitaries who are here with us this morning, starting with our 5th Legislative District. We have Senator Don Norcross, along with Assemblyman Whip Wilson and Assemblyman Angel Fuentes. Freeholders Ian Leonard, Scott McCrae, and former freeholder and educator Roletta Crane. Members of the local governing body are Vice President of City Council Kirk Jenkins, Marilyn Torres, Dana Burley, Deborah Polk, and Louis Lopez. And members of the Board of Education, our board president who is standing here with us today, Catherine Blackshear, along with Vice President Martha Wilson. I understand Sean Brown is here, along with Barbara Coscarella. And we also have Ms. Catherine Rebai. Let's give them a round of applause. And Ms. Sarah Davis. When you were greeted here this morning, you were greeted by our young men and women who are members of the Woodrow Wilson ROTC. Let's give our young people a round of applause. And certainly to all of our community members and leaders who are here throughout the room, our Congress of Resident and Community-Based Organizations, our clergy who I see. Again, thank you for being here because this is really about a partnership and how we come together to move our city forward and to benefit our youth, children, and families at the end of the day. We recognize as leaders that we have an obligation to give our children a real chance to succeed. And I firmly believe that in order to bring positive change and outcomes, we must form partnerships with our parents, with our community advocates, with every level of government to identify solutions to our common issues. We can no longer sit back and point the finger at any particular person or group for the systemic issues that we face. That will not solve the problems facing our children. We need to create solutions and partnerships in order to get the job done. So today, with bipartisan support and commitment of our state, local officials, and community, we are doing just that by taking the critical step to improve the quality of education in the city of Camden. Demanding accountability to make our schools stronger and more competitive will give our children, our students, the opportunity to be successful. Today, I stand with Governor Christie, with Council President Moran, with board members Blackshear, Felicia Reyes Morton, with our parents, clergy, community members, and all those who have waited for change and are willing to do what is necessary and what is right for our children, for their parents, and for our city. It's easy for naysayers to point at previous school interventions and criticize why it can't work in Camden. To them, I say, the current status quo is failing our kids. We cannot wait any longer. I am willing to partner with our governor, with the state, with local officials, with the community to change the course for the sake of our children. I welcome this new era and full cooperation and partnership because I want to see our children excel in the classroom. I want to hear more positive stories of our Camden students going to college, fulfilling their dreams, and even coming back to propel the next generation. As elected officials and appointed officials, we must do what is right, not for me, not for the governor, not for Council President Moran, not for any individual, but to do what is right for our children. I firmly believe, and this is no cliche, that our children are the foundation to Camden's rebirth and revitalization. And if we truly want to secure and strengthen our foundation, and our foundation are our youth, then we must take action now. Each and every one of our children deserves the opportunity for the same kind of education afforded their peers in suburban America, which is just a few miles away. We have no greater obligation than to give our children a chance. And that is why we stand united on this issue. We stand ready to work for the educational attainment of our children. Because if we really want to drive a wedge in poverty, if we really want to tackle the title of being the most impoverished city in America, then we must address, reform, and improve education. And so now it is my great honor to introduce our governor, who has been leading the state of New Jersey, leading reform, and taking tough stances on tough issues. He's not afraid of any big issue like myself. And so please welcome our governor, Chris Christie.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And I think, I hope you can tell from the comments that she just made why I've been spending so much of my time focusing on improving Camden. The reason is because we have leadership here who is willing to work together, recognize and acknowledge the problems that we have and that we have to stand up and work together to try to get it done. And so I thank Mayor Red for her partnership and her friendship, and we're going to continue to work together on all those issues that are important: public safety, education, economic development, the things that we really need to bring Camden back to where it was before and to make it even greater. And so for today, we're taking the lead because for too long, the public school system in Camden has failed its children. The situation, I believe, is dire now, and so far gone that we're at a breaking point. For decades, we've seen attempts at fixing what seems impossible to fix. Instead of it getting better, it's very oftentimes gotten worse. And each day that it gets worse, we're failing the children in Camden. We're denying them a future. We're not allowing them to reach their fullest potential. This administration has been focused on education reform, bringing accountability and results to public education, targeting resources to where they're needed, and extending the promise of a high-quality education to every child in New Jersey. Every year that a student is deprived of an effective teacher and school that can deliver results, they fall farther and farther behind. We know this is a fact, and we can no longer deny it. And parents should not be subjected in this city to the idea that their children's future is limited. Just shouldn't be. In Camden, this problem has become chronic, it's severe, and it's destroying our ability to ensure these children to have the opportunity to succeed. Their options begin diminishing almost from the time they walk into the public school system, and even extraordinarily well-involved parents are finding it difficult to make a difference in their children's lives. Student achievement in Camden is the lowest in the state, and in many cases getting worse over time. For years, the school district has not been able to demonstrate an acceptable level of educational achievement for its students almost uniformly across grade levels and various measures of proficiency. The district lags far behind the state average for performance in all critical areas of education, even among peer schools. Nearly 90% of Camden schools, 23 out of 26, are in the bottom 5% performance-wise of all in New Jersey, including the 3 lowest performing schools in the state. While Camden schools make up 1% of the schools in the state, they account for 33% of the lowest performing schools in the state. So what's this mean? In real terms, in many schools, like R.C. Molina, only 11% are proficient in LAL. It's unacceptable. Camden's 4-year graduation rate was only 49% in 2012, 37% below the state average, and decreased from 57% in 2011. Standardized testing scores in math and English underperform the state average at drastic levels. When it comes to proficiency levels on the New Jersey Ask test, less than 20% of students are proficient in language arts literacy, which is 47% below the state average. In math, only 30% are proficient, which is 45% below the state average. At this rate, it's clear these students are not receiving an education on par with the rest of the state. It seems to be an understatement. But ultimately, if these students graduate, they aren't prepared for a career or to move on to higher education. In other words, we're breaking our promise to them. Even when we hand them a diploma, we're breaking our promise to them and to their families. Let's look at where we are right now at Woodrow Wilson High School. 46% of the students that started in the 9th grade graduated 4 years later. Of those that did graduate, only 16.9% graduated by passing the HESPA. Only 42% of those students who graduated were enrolled in post-secondary schools within 16 months after their high school graduation. It's unacceptable. In fact, it's outrageous. And the system is broken, and we need to take responsibility for fixing it. Now, let me acknowledge this. There are some great educators in the city of Camden, and there are extraordinary number of concerned parents. And there are people in this community in positions of leadership and governance that truly care and are trying to make a difference every day. We know that because they're here today, many of them standing with us in this effort because they understand the enormity of the challenge and the urgency of the cause. To stop letting our children's lives slip away and bring disappointment and heartbreak to their parents. So Mayor Red and School Board President Blackshear, Board Member Rance Morton, Council President Moran, Sheila Davis from Crossing Over, all of you are going to play a role in this, as are the people in this community. I thank you for being here today, for standing with us. I know this isn't easy. And believe me, I didn't come to this decision easily. I waited a long time for me. 3 years. You all know. Most things, I don't have that kind of patience. I waited 3 years because I really felt like I wanted to give the folks in the city of Camden a chance to do this without having to enter into a partnership with the state. But a top-to-bottom evaluation completed by the Department of Education on August 12 convinced me that the problems are now incapable of fixing themselves and are beyond the capacity of the current system to be able to do it on its own. And so we do this today to try to change Camden. I can't be a guarantor of results. None of us can. But just because we can't guarantee a positive result or because there have been some mixed results in the past should not be used as an excuse for inaction. Every time you have different leaders in these positions, the possibility for a different result is there. It's within our grasp, and it depends upon the will that we want to bring to this endeavor. I believe that there are so many people in Camden who will look at this as an opportunity to hit the reset button, to restart and put aside some of the failings of the past, some of the bickering of the past, some of the mistakes of the past. And we want to be partners in making that happen. We want to bring transformative leaders to this district and say to them, you can help to rebuild the school district and at the same time build your career as an educator by coming here and making a difference. Those are the things that we want to do to attract the best and the brightest here to help us in this task. We know that this is not about money. Camden's receiving nearly $280 million in this year's budget, an increase of $3.6 million over last year's budget. During the last school year, Camden spent nearly $24,000 per pupil per year, compared to the statewide average of $18,000 per pupil per year. This is not an issue of money. This is an issue of spending that money better and demanding accountability and better results for the money that the taxpayers of this city and this state spend. So we're taking what I believe is a right and necessary next step. We cannot fail these children any longer. when I finally came to the point of making this decision, sitting in my office in Trenton, and I just said to myself, after sitting and meeting with the commissioner and a number of members of my staff who were taking me through the pros and cons, after they left me, I was sitting in the office by myself. And I said two things to myself in making this decision. One, enough is enough. Enough waiting, enough excuses, enough of the blame game. Enough. And secondly, that I believe that this is why people gave me the chance to do this job. Not to take on the little things, but to take on the big challenges. And when you take on big challenges, you run the risk of failing. But life is not a dress rehearsal, everybody. We don't get another shot at this. Not just of having a job like this, but of trying to mold the community. And I don't want to look back on my time as governor and say that I should have done something differently. I should have acted more aggressively. I should have done more for the people and the children, in particular, of this city. So there will be some who will be critical. There will be some who will throw stones. Old story for me, everybody. I'm happy to take them, okay? But the fact is that what no one will be able to say about the people assembled behind this podium and many others in this room who are willing to take this endeavor with us, they will not be able to say that we didn't act. And I believe that failure to act in this instance is a greater sin than any other mistake that we could make. So I want to thank the mayor for her introduction and her support, all of the folks who are here, who are going to begin this journey with us today. And so we're going to have a few other speakers, and then I'll come back to answer questions from the press. But let me introduce the Education Commissioner. I can tell you that it is our joint mission, in particular, to try to improve urban education in this state. And that's one of the reasons why I asked Chris Cerf to be Education Commissioner, because I believe that he has a commitment to that mission. And I think through the actions that we're taking today, and through the actions that you'll see his department take in concert with this community over the coming months, you will see what I've seen about Commissioner Cerf, which he is committed, really committed to all the children of this state, and wanting them and their families to get the benefit of the bargain they make by living here, to be able to have their futures be limitless and have the opportunity for their children to reach their fullest potential. So I'll introduce Commissioner Cerf for remarks. He will take it from there. And then for members of the press, I'll be back after the speakers to take your questions. Commissioner Cerf.